Okay, so this is week 5, part 2. And in it, what we're going to do is we're going to design some custom footings for our wall that we just created. So wall footings for bearing or retaining are going to be hosted by the wall. So if you think of the whole thing as a file cabinet, walls are a drawer in the file cabinet, and then bearings and retaining walls are going to be within that drawer. In a folder. So that's how it stores this information. So once a footing is in place, then you can come in and like add your footing, add your reinforcement, stuff like that. And then you can tag in and schedule the footings once you have that design in. So there's 2 types of continuous footing systems that can be applied, retaining or bearing footings. But that, like I said, that's kind of a storage place in the BIM design. And so it will either store it as a retaining wall or as bearing wall, but you can actually have them look very similar between the two. And so it's not necessarily set as far as the design goes as to how each of those footings look. That can be customized. But they're either going to store it in the folder that says retaining footings or the folder that says bearing footings. And so what we're going to do, we're going to come in and use an existing wall to create the footings. So we have to come into structure, and under the foundations we have the wall footings, and we have a choice of different wall footings to use, and so we can put in the information. You notice that it also has stuff for just general rebar cover, on the top, on the bottom, things like that. That's just it's going to create an area of cover for whatever you want in your design. So we're going to come in here, and the footings are going to end up on the bottom of the wall, so they automatically attach to the bottom of the wall. And so if you change where that wall ends, the footings will adjust with it. And then we can come in and place in those footings. We can come in and edit the walls so that they adjust to the footings, and all this in our design. So we can add in holes. We can change the wall and have its cross section actually drop down in a certain area, and the footings will fall across there and everything in our design. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in and basically place these footings. We're going to create a new style, and it's just easier for me to show you that as opposed to try to explain it out with some of these slides. And so we're going to change the style to a custom one that we want, and then we'll adjust that with the footings. So let's go into Revit, and I'll show you how this is done. So here I am looking at, still in the top of the slab. I have my wall in here. If I look in the 3D view, here's my wall. Shaded in so you can see it. And now, mind you, this is a foundation wall, so it is going into the ground. We don't see the ground level here, but this isn't vertical. We're going down into the ground here. So let me go ahead. I'm going to go to structure up here, and I'm going to go to the wall, foundation wall footings. I'm going to click on it, and then I have a choice of which ones to use. And so if you look, I have 2 different types in here. I either have a bearing or retaining, and that's it. Now, they also have some that are pre-stored, and I could bring in those families, but let me just create one. This is a pretty simple object, so I'm going to create it. I'm going to start with my bearing footing. That's 36 by 12. I'm going to come over here where it says Edit Type, right below it. I'm going to click it, and never mess with the original wall or footing or whatever. Always duplicate it. So I'm going to come over here and click Duplicate, and I'm going to make this a 36 by 24, and let's just get that little 2 out of the way, and I'll hit OK. And now I can change up this information. So I'm going to make this 36 by 2 right here, and I don't have to adjust the extension length, but now I'm just changing the thing, so it's going to be 3 feet wide, 2 feet thick, and I'm going to put that in my as my footing. So if I come over here and hit OK, I can now come over and I can start selecting my walls. So I can come in and pick a wall and have it come in. But if I come over here and hit Tab before I select the wall, so I'm hovering over the wall, I hit Tab, it'll actually select all the walls that are chained to that wall. And so if I click it, it's going to go like this, and then I can select it. And what you'll see is I get this little warning down here and it says, hey, you can't see this in this view. Well, think about it. Where does it put these footings? It puts it at the bottom of the wall. I'm up at 0 level, so I wouldn't be able to see it in this view. That's okay. It still worked. That's not a problem. If I come over and look at top of footing, I can see that this came in. So here's my wall and here's the footings. And if I look in 3D, I can see that as well. Now, if I wanted to, I can come in and select a given wall, say this one, and I can actually come in, and here's where I can change the profile. I can come in and go Edit Profile, and let me square up to this view. And let's say I'm going to come over, and I'm just going to draw real quick. I'm going to kind of draw something like this. I'm going to come back to like here and then back to here. I can hit Escape, and then I can come in and trim. I always got to remember which one of these is trim. I hit the wrong button there. And I'm going to delete that, and let's just come in here. Something like that. And so now I can hit the checkbox. It's going to give me that as my design. And if I looked over on the right, I would have this type thing. Now, see, it doesn't like slants. It likes the flat as far as where it puts that that foundation footing. But I can create kind of a unique looking wall there if I wanted. I'm going to go ahead and kind of get rid of that. Go back to my original, but that's how you can create a custom wall. I can also put a hole in this, and so if you have utilities and all coming in through that wall and you want to section or whatever, you could come in and put a hole in that and reinforce it around it and everything with that wall. So that is how you add in a footing, and then if you want to, you can edit the profile of your walls and all that. So what we're going to do next is we're going to come in a little bit in the next video, and we're going to go ahead and add in our piers and all into our design. We're going to use another tool to help us do that. We're going to change the view up a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and add our isolated footings to those.